Hello and welcome everyone. I'm your host Stefan Burns, geologist, geophysicist, space weather guy. We've had a ton of solar activity over the past few days, actually going back more than a week now with a variety of different types of solar activity. We've had coronal hole high-speed stream impacts that occurred right before and during the doublet that struck Venezuela. We've had increasing solar flare activity. We had a 1.1 X class flare yesterday, a 5.8 M class flare. Now we've had a lot of M class flare activity today. Two solar storms are now inbound, going to impact in expected less than 48 hours. And this is as Earth is already effectively supercharged from all these solar flares. And just in general, at the beginning of the video, viewer discretion, if flashing lights, if you're sensitive to that, and seizure warning, like we're going to be looking at some footage of lightning strikes. This footage right here of the sun has some bright light flashes in it. So if that is a problem, then you may want to just like load this video's transcript if you want to get the info into one of these transcript generators and just read through that, okay? Because there will be flashing lights on screen. Viewer discretion advised. So we've had all these solar flares bombard the Earth with a lot of extreme ultraviolet and also X-ray radiation, such that Earth's ionosphere, the upper atmosphere, is charged with more plasma than normal. Plasma being the fourth state of matter, where let's say you have oxygen and it's floating around. Well, you can split one or more of the electrons off of that. And now you have this this positively charged oxygen nucleus, and some of the electrons are still hanging out with it. Just some of them are stripped off, and now you also have these negatively charged electrons. And electrons have a very low mass. They're 1,800 times less mass than a proton. And of course, a whole nucleus has neutrons in there, other electrons, protons. So it's quite heavy. The electrons can zip around very quick in an electric field and under magnetic fields. And well, a whole nucleus, a positively charged molecule, will also move with the electromagnetic force, but slower. But in general, normally they're neutral. So everything's combined together. Well, when you have all this light flux hitting the Earth, it breaks apart more and more of these air molecules that are up there and generates more plasma. When we have more plasma surrounding the Earth, this triggers stronger geoelectric currents known as telluric currents in Earth's ground surface. You also have a stronger electric gradient going from the ionosphere to the ground surface. This is there's a few different types. You have a fair weather current, because the ionosphere has a charge of about 250,000 volts, and Earth's surface has 0 volts. So you don't have to be an electrician or physicist to really understand that you get this flow of energy, because your wall socket, by the way, in the United States is 120 volts, and that runs your drill, that runs your fan, you can run your fridge, all this stuff. So the current density also matters, but it's simply also like the potential is the voltage. And well, 120 volts isn't that much, but it can do a lot. Well, think about 250,000 volts, or think about 400,000 volts, right? The ionosphere can charge up beyond its normal equipotential. Normally, its potential is the same all across the Earth, except in the polar regions. Kind of just dove into some technical stuff right there, but the point is, and we're going to be, this is an educational video as well as a report on what is happening, but basically Earth is a battery and it's getting charged up. And whereas, let's say its battery charge level was like 50%, which means it has some juice, it can do some things, now it's ramping up 60%, 70%, 80%. And we're going to be seeing that more and more going forward. I call this Earth electrification. As the Earth gets warmer and the weather gets more volatile, we're going to see extreme events around the Earth more commonly. And this isn't just things like earthquakes, which are connected into the global electric circuit. There are connections between earthquake activity and the ionosphere, changes in ionospheric plasma density, and these electric currents that flow through the Earth's surface, things like that. You also have, of course, that connected in with volcanoes as well, but also simply like lightning storms. and heat waves and heat domes and all this stuff. So as the oceans get hotter, the Earth's getting hotter, we're going to see more and more activity as a result of a variety of dynamics. Every degree Celsius you go up in temperature, you're holding on to 7% more water. Water is the main thing that's driving electrical activity in the atmosphere. It's also the dominant greenhouse gas. And so you get more and more and more heat added in. It forms this, this recursive loop, basically, and it just can maybe spiral out of control. Now, the dominant energy input into the Earth, of course, is the sun. We're getting 1,360 watts per square meter approximately across the surface of the Earth because of the sun, based off our location in orbit. That fluctuates up and down based on the solar cycle. The main variation in that is in infrared, ultraviolet, and infrared optical, like what the light that we see in ultraviolet light flux, but there's also huge changes in X-ray light flux like we get from these solar flares. So that charges up the ionosphere, it drives all these processes. We're right now seeing very clearly at the end of June, beginning of July, this Earth electrification process accelerate rapidly, basically. So in today's video, we're going to do a report on the solar activity, what we have coming up, because there is a solar impact coming in less than or about 48 hours, which is going to drive electrical activity even more on this planet, because again, Earth is already supercharged from all these solar flares. That's going to trigger a geomagnetic storm. We don't know what's going to happen after that. We've had this big wave of global seismicity with Japan, Venezuela, Afghanistan. China's had a lot of earthquakes, if you didn't know. They've been seeing earthquake lights out of China. Red sprites, which are these powerful electric discharges from the top of thunderclouds up to the ionosphere in the Caribbean. We've been seeing electric jets, same deal, but a little bit different mechanism over the United States. Crazy thunderstorms over Europe and North America, and probably other locations, but I can confirm those locations just over the past few days. And then we'll touch into how this sort of solar activity is feeding all of that and why this is likely going to be the direction we're going because of the overall warming trend that our planet is in. The Earth has been warm before, it's been cold before, okay? So this isn't necessarily uncharted territory, but in terms of modern civilization that's now dependent on technology, it is definitely uncharted. And it's uncharted in really the recent interglacial period that we're in. So we've had some other warm periods before, like the medieval warm period, the Roman warm period, but the warming was spread out, you know, not homogeneously across the planet. And so this is new. This is significant. You don't drop thousands of nuclear bombs in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s and not have there be a consequence, right? That's all generating plasma. Where did that go, right? It doesn't, plasma has this sticky quality to it where it goes to where it can exist and not just necessarily dissipate and recombine into neutral gas or whatever. So some of that plasma probably went to the Earth, some of that plasma went up to the ionosphere, some probably escaped out to space. You don't set off thousands, again, of nuclear bombs and not have any consequences to this. Do you think that was done in the Roman warm period? No, it was not done in the Roman warm period. It wasn't done in the medieval warm period. This is a new geologic era, perhaps, that we're entering into, right? I think what's occurring is such a significant shift as compared to the past 12,000 years since the Younger Dryas that we maybe in the future will even categorize this as the beginning of a new geologic era. It's possible. So a lot to cover in today's video. Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Stefan Burns. And let us just quickly look at some of this crazy lightning activity. We're going to come back to this, but this is pretty wild. Okay, so again, viewer discretion for flashing light sequences. You've been warned. Here we see this crazy lightning storm across England, June 23rd of this year, 2026, and we see that the lightning flash rate is super high. So we on average have a global lightning flash rate of about 50 per second, and there are three dominant lightning chimneys. You have one over Africa. You have one over Southeast Asia. You have one over the Amazon rainforest, effectively. Though it actually spreads a bit to the Caribbean and also even like Mexico, Florida. You know, it's a pretty broad region where there's elevated lightning activity. But those three lightning chimneys, as they're known as, typically there'll be some sort of storm there every single day, and they pop off usually on average at sunset to the greatest extent. And so you get these three bursts of activity across the day as it relates to the Schumann resonances, which circulate across the Earth. They're Earth's natural resonant energy field. They overlap with us biologically, our brain waves, our heart rhythms. Very, very interesting. We're going to switch back over to our sun because that one's pretty intense. But it's also, you know, driving a lot of powerful electric currents in the Earth's surface and in the oceans and more. So that storm obviously was flashing probably like 10, 15 a second. There have been crazy storms over Northern Europe that have had flash rates up to 20 per second. Same with over North America. And so we're seeing now, just at least right now, but I forecast going forward, we're going to see that lightning flash rate go up. And there's some estimates that as the Earth goes up 1, 2, 3 degrees Celsius from where we are now, that we could see 5, 10, maybe 20 times more lightning activity on the planet. Think about how that's going to interact with Earth's faults, Earth's volcanic systems, earthquake activity, volcanic activity, severe weather. We just had a record thunderstorm gust in the United States at like 134 miles per hour. That is at some level hurricane level wind speeds. No cyclone involved there, just a gust of wind, 135 miles per hour. So crazy stuff, crazy stuff. Now, just FYI, before we get into all of it, because there's more to, obviously, we got a lot to do today. If you want to track some of this information in between my videos, I have the Earth Evolution Analytics portal here. So you can go to earthevolution.com and you can click on live data, or you can just type in www.earthevolution.com/energy-analytics. That'll take you right to this page. You can see Schumann resonances here, global seismic activity level. You can see our radiation belt forecast, aurora forecasts, also different views of the sun provided by NASA, our sunspots. Check out these crazy sunspots right now. 4478, 4479 having been very, very active. 4479 being the main sunspot of activity, but 4478 holding on to a ton of energy. And it's ready to go. If you go further down, we see the magnetogram views. We also see here our solar system scope 3D models. If you want to see the planetary geometry that's active and more, you can check that out. And in addition to that, if you want, you can go to our store and you see that there is a web store that we have. This is a store that I started up last year. And we sell, actually maybe even 2024 is when I started this up. We have all organic herbal teas. So we see spirituality, herb coffee. These are made and mixed by me and my dad. So this is a family operation, just the two of us. There's some merchandise like these shirts here. Also, we have these very nice super optical clarity quartz crystals, as well as these lapis lazuli crystals there, which are amazing, and more. So I just wanted to show you this. But as this Earth electrification continues, and here's the spirituality, this is really the one to pick up, because this is a tea blend that's great for just helping you rest and relax. It can help you sleep. It can also potentiate dreams, but it helps connect you into, like you could say, a little bit deeper within, or your higher spirit, whatever you want to call it. It's 4 herbs, all organic: purple lotus flower, chamomile, mugwort, passion flower. And so this sort of earth electrical energy activates the brain and the body, and this helps you to get in contact with that, so these energies aren't going through you, let's say, in a way that's unconscious, and maybe you're a little bit more emotional, you don't know why, or more anxious, right? Your nervous system's getting blasted by this energy. Now you can learn how to utilize that energy and basically poured into different creative tasks or different athletic accomplishments, right? Movement and these things, this helps you to get in tune with all that. So spirituality is really fantastic. And of course, we also have our herb coffee. This is a top seller. This is 50% coffee, single origin, shade grown Peruvian, but also the other 50% is made up of herbs that help balance out the effects of coffee and actually synergize with the beneficial effects of the caffeine. So you have lion's mane mushroom. 1/8 of this is lion's mane organic. So it's not just dusted in a huge amount of lion's mane, but the right amount. Also organic chicory root, organic dandelion root. Really good for your microbiome, your gut-brain consciousness axis. Tastes amazing as well. And then because it's hot, 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 huge heat wave right now, you may want to consider our fruit tea, which is an excellent iced tea, super flavorful, but also good for your immune system because of the elderberry, the strawberry, the rose hips. You have a little bit of lemon balm there for calm and reduces anxiety, just helps you relax. And then additionally, some hibiscus for flavor and color. So all that and much more is available on the website. And I will add a code after the video of Earth. Well, we'll do a 4th of July sale. It'll be just Earth energy for 5% off. No, we'll do 8% off. So in just about an hour's time, that code will be active. Earth energy for 5% off. If you want to pick something up from the website, we'll ship it out to you right away. So let's just quickly go through what's been happening. We see our earthquake activity, and we see that the past 24 hours has had this 6.0 here in China, Japan. That's the largest earthquake. 5.6 in Fiji to the south, 5.5 in Afghanistan, and you see also this 5.3 in China here. Now this is an area to watch because if we go to our 30 days, we will see actually a whole burst of earthquakes in this zone here. So you see 6.3, 5.4, 5.3, 5.2, 5.2, 5.2, 5.0. This is very odd. To see this many magnitude 5 earthquakes for that single magnitude 6.3 main shock is bizarre. In addition, we saw earthquake lightning, earthquake lights come up from one of those earthquakes. It was maybe this one. I don't think it was that one. It was one of the recent ones though, I think on the 29th. So there's been quite a lot of activity there. I guess it was this 5.3 here. I guess it was that one there. So there's been a lot of activity there. And the fact that we saw earthquake lights from that and the 6.3 wasn't all she wrote is bizarre. We can look at those earthquake lights really quick. I hope we have a bunch of stuff to go through. Here it is. So here we see earthquake lights. So this is the 29th of June, midnight basically, for China, Chinese time, and we see these earthquake lights pop off. See that? That's right near the epicenter of this earthquake. So it's been very unusual activity. Let's watch that just one more time. That's a plasma discharge coming up from the Earth, okay? So you have energy actually all of a sudden coalescing and shooting up to the ionosphere very, very quickly. Something interesting to note about Earth energy and plasma is that, and light, is that you don't get light without plasma, and light is what creates plasma. Light hitting matter, if it's high enough frequency, will generate plasma, and then as that plasma decharges, it emits light. So plasma and light are connected together very intimately. It's no different also within our bodies, within ourselves. So as Earth electrifies, this is also going to be affecting our biology and in some degree our evolution as well. So this has been pretty wild out of China. We could be seeing a bigger earthquake strike China in the near future. I wouldn't be surprised. And this, I think this actually is the location for the earthquake lights here, this 5.2. So it's not that other location, but we see here the timing matches up with that video. So because they must be UTC plus 8. Yeah, they're UTC plus 8. So this is location for that. But that's just in general showing the huge amount of energy in this area, right? Because we have the crazy earthquake swarm there. We have the earthquake lights with this 5.2. Kind of wild. All right, so that's our earthquake report. We are really looking closely at California. We'll see what happens. But California, actually the whole west coast of the United States, ready to rock and roll. It's right now in a critical period, but not today, seemingly. Not today. Here we have our solar wind. We've had a solar storm impact. I discussed this on the last live stream. It did not trigger a strong geomagnetic storm. So it did get up to a G1 level for 3 hours right here. Then the solar wind actually strengthened, but it maintained a northward configuration, as you can see. So this solar storm is basically over. Though the solar wind is still 2 times stronger than normal, actually 2.5 times stronger than normal. But this is going to come in, well, what's going to come in is we're going to get some coronal mass ejections to come in. So let's look at those. Here we have our coronal mass ejections that have launched out over the past 24 hours. That's expected to come in less than 48 hours. As a result, we are going to be seeing more geomagnetic activity on top of already a very charged up Earth. We have some space weather models for this. The first one here was from a 1.1 X-class flare. You see the bulk is going to the north. So there is uncertainty as to how strong these are going to hit us. There's the other one, actually a combination of events, but clearly 2. Kind of partial to full halo coronal mass ejections launching out. We got some stuff coming in, okay? Here we see our space weather model for this. And so this is our top-down view. That's the sun. This is the Earth. We see it basically a perfect shot right there. That's from the 1.1 X-class flare. Here's our south-north view. We see that we're getting clipped by the bottom of it. I wouldn't be surprised if this actually misses us more than this model is showing, but we'll have to wait and see. Regardless, we have something coming in, but the question is how much. If we look at our other space weather model from an event that followed up afterwards, we see it's weaker and fainter, but still an additional influence coming in. And in fact, it's really actually hard to quantify what we have coming our way, because if you look at our X-ray flux here, we see that we've just been having crazy activity for the past 2 days. Ever since that 5.8 M-class flare, our 1.1 X-class flare, we've had multiple M-class flares. This is the sort of activity you see before a really big solar flare, like X 5.0 or greater. So I would not be surprised if within the next 48 hours, we get a huge solar flare from one of those sunspots. 4479 looking like the biggest culprit, but 4478 certainly it could do it as well. But right now we've been seeing just non-stop activity here, and that is what's charging up the Earth to these critical levels. We can see that we just had a new flare come in that I don't have yet on my my main video here. You know, this one there doesn't show this new solar flare that just came in. So let's instead give this a look, and we'll see at the very end. And so we have 4479 just going nuts, basically. If we give this a watch, right there is our newest flare. So, and also sympathetic flare. We have one down there below to 4477. So 4477 and 4479 sympathetically flaring effectively right now as we are discussing this. And 78 is, of course, 78 is, oh, looks like I'm gone still. 78 is this guy. Now, going back to our high-res imagery, this is where we can kind of see things get interesting. You'll notice all these coronal loops extending out from 78. And so it has, these other ones are more like contained, yet this one is connected in. And you'll even see that discharge between 7.9 and 7.8. So this one's been like pooling plasma from all the others and storing it. And you see it's zapping and discharging, but not with the big solar flare, but it's ready to go. That's an activity that you see before a big flare. But the fact that it's connected in all across the sun is really wild. It's like, you know, feelers going out like this. And so while this guy's been going, if I really had to bet on a sunspot to be like, give us the really big one, it would be this guy. that we certainly could see big activity from 4479. But all this charging up the Earth, driving more space weather, that's all inbound as I speak right now. So we even have a little bit more activity coming in afterwards. If we look at our view here, we see that we have, this is the far side of the sun. We have a new sunspot rotating into view in about 3 days. This one right there. So as those others rotate out, these will rotate in. Keep that in mind. This will take us all the way through July, basically, because that will have a 2-week transit. And then if you go here again, these guys are going to return in a month's time. Should they still be around? I think they will be. I have a hunch that they're going to be around because we have some heliocentric planetary geometry that indicates that we're going to get some significant space weather at the end of July, beginning of August. And well, looking at this, they're going to be exactly Earth facing right at the end of July, beginning of August. Today is July 1st, 2026. So they're going to be right back there. And in fact, because they're a little offset right now from the center and the solar rotation period is 28 days, they're going to be even in better position right at that critical planetary geometry, which I posted to my X account. So you can check that out if you want. And maybe I'll find it if I go to my X account here, but let's see what I can find. But that, I think they're going to survive a full solar rotation. And as a result, I think the fact that these sunspots are there right now and they're active really says a lot. I think I have to go one. Maybe this is it right here. Yeah, here it is. Okay, so here's my long-range forecast. I posted this on May 27th. We'll see what happens, but we have this Venus, we have this Pluto-Earth conjunction, heliocentric, opposite Jupiter, and you have this perfect basket configuration. I would not be surprised if we get a big event in 1 month's time. Really big event. We'll see. This is August 1st right here. So, but you don't see this sort of planetary geometry ever, actually, because of this basket configuration. It's really intense. So yeah, those sunspots, if they should exist still, and we've seen sunspots survive multiple rotations before. These are looking like they could do that very easily. Well, they'll be exactly Earth aligned on August 1st. So yeah, this could get wild really quick. Now to discuss Earth electrification, let us touch on just first kind of the weather today, all right? So here we see a website called Climate Reanalyzer. Now, of course, sometimes you have highs, you have lows. In general, we're having volatility. The big thing that's happening overall, more important than global warming, I would say, is we're having increased weather volatility. That's the key. Though the Earth is warming overall, the fact that the weather is becoming more volatile is what I'm really more interested in. But we have this huge heat wave for the eastern United States. We just had one for Europe. Of course, there's many other places on the globe that are hot. This is our temperature anomaly. If we look at our max temperatures, of course, Middle East, Africa, all the way through Pakistan, Afghanistan, India are crazy. But we have some roasting temperatures for North America at this moment in time, as you can see. And it's going to be even hotter tomorrow. So in addition to high temperature, the East Coast has a lot of humidity, water vapor. That drives a lot of this Earth electrification, this lightning activity. And it's no surprise that after this happens, there's going to be a sequence of thunderstorms that roll through. That's at least the current forecast right now. So here we see a visualization of what's been happening with the climate since 1880, okay? And we see that there's been this dramatic shift since about 1980. But you could even argue the year 2000 certainly is when things really started to accelerate. This is a result of multiple forces, but certainly we have an influence on the Earth anthropogenically, because when you take millions of years of sequestered sunlight in the form of hydrocarbons and you break those bonds, and you're releasing heat, right? It's not like What do you think happens when you light some gasoline? It's hot, baby. Like, have you ever stood next to a campfire? It's common. It's common sense. I don't know why some people don't get it. It's simply just releasing heat. But you're also releasing carbon dioxide and, more importantly, for global warming and the greenhouse gas effect, water. So that all gets into the atmosphere. So you have a lot of sequestered water and a lot of sequestered carbon that gets released. All the sequestered heat from the sun gets released, and not all of it radiates out to space. We have a radiation imbalance that exists. So the Earth is dramatically warming at a rate unprecedented, effectively in the geologic record, other than during prior extreme events, like maybe like an asteroid impact or something like that. The rate of warming has never been seen this fast before. And even if it has, that doesn't mean this is insignificant, because it's not common. Okay, it's very, very, very rare. So this is one of the base drivers of this whole Earth electrification, because as the Earth gets hotter, every degree C, 7% more water holding capacity in the atmosphere. They rub up against each other. They're having a good time. Sparks are flying, and boom, you get a lightning strike. So that's what's happening. Here we see the weather for Cologne. This is on the 27th of June. I've spent quite a lot of time in Cologne. I like Cologne quite a lot. I thought this video was pretty nuts when I saw this. I was there during some crazy weather in April of 24 where it hailed like 4 times. I asked the locals, like, is that normal? They're like, no, 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 no. This is unlike any weather I experienced there. And Europe is warming, other than the Arctic Circle in Antarctica, Europe is warming the fastest of all the major continents. So this is not surprising. They're having, of course, they get lots of thunderstorms during the summer. Look at the hail. But this is nuts. And so my heart goes out because I love this city. And there are good people there. They've always been very friendly and nice. And well, this is nuts. So this is an example of the type of weather that can occur more frequently during Earth electrification. That is the hypothesis. And well, at some point, all the data is coming in. Is it a hypothesis anymore? I don't think so. Now look at this. Here we have a infrared satellite loop of a powerful thunderstorm complex racing through central South Dakota, producing tornado-like winds. The highest wind gust is 131 miles per hour. As far as I know, from what I saw, that sets a record. So you have a tornado scale and hurricane scale winds, though this is just a gust, but still cyclone scale winds within a thunderstorm. If that's not what I'm talking about, what is? Okay, that's not normal. This is not normal. Anyone, you can sit out there all you want and be like, this is normal weather, be on your lawn chair at the beer, and well, how about you go fly away up into the storm and never come back? Because that may be what happens if you are disconnected to reality. I don't know what to tell you. Here we see some red sprites that were captured over the Caribbean a few days after the earthquake in Venezuela. There are those red sprites. So this is a really low res video of that, but we're seeing red sprite activity. That's the 29th of June. Okay. Crazy, crazy, crazy electrical activity over the Caribbean. And we also saw this crazy jet, this electrical jet. Paul Smith captured this here in Oklahoma. Also, as you notice, this is the 30th of June. So this crazy electrical jet, and this, I mean, look at that. That is nuts. So we've seen these things before. We've captured them before. It's not like we've never seen this, but look at how all these are stacking together. That's the point. It's not just one area. It's all across the board. Let me show you a video that my sister sent me. She's in Canada right now on a little family trip. I had to edit the video, but you'll see this, the lightning storm. She's never experienced anything like this before in her life. Her and her friends. Look at that. Look at the flash rate on that. So that passed directly over the house. And she was joking around with my brother-in-law and said, like, are we surviving? He's like, we're thriving. And that is, in some aspect, that's true, because these lightning strikes produce Schumann resonances. Again, these wavelengths of light naturally resonate with the Earth that overlap with our brainwaves. We evolved in them, and that's why we have this frequency architecture inherently with our biology. And so as you get stronger Schumann resonance generation, we don't really know where that's going to lead to, but probably more creativity, maybe even like more psychic gifts and activations. Like I'm a firm believer of that. When you are dreaming, your brainwaves shift to Schumann frequencies, the foundational mode being 7.8 hertz. When you take a little magic mushroom, let's say, that shifts you down to that fundamental frequency. And of course, anyone that's done that has, experienced things that are undeniable. So everyone can believe what they want, but we have a deep shamanistic connection, you could say, to the earth. And well, as this activates more and more, you may not need the little mushroom anymore to feel it. Because, well, if the strength is 10 times higher than normal and your brain's a receiver and antenna picking it all up, you may just experience it. And I've had crazy dreams about thunderstorms like this before. And set in the future, like very clearly set in the future. So I think there's something to this. Here we see another example. This is just a snapshot of a weather tracker, but basically a ridiculous lightning storm, thunderstorm over southern Denmark there. Flash rates were like 20 per second. Again, global average is 50. This is back on the 27th of June. So you see what I'm talking about. And here is that one over England. So we can just switch back over there. Look at that. So this is Earth electrification. So as these solar storms come in, they hit the Earth, we get all the solar flares, charging up the ionosphere, creating a stronger electric gradient from the ionosphere to Earth's surface. These are generating tiller currents. You're going to get stronger discharges from these thunder clouds to Earth's surface, intercloud as well. It can get really nuts. And I think we're going to be seeing more earthquake activity as a result, more severe weather, stronger winds. I think that's a big one too. We see these connections between effectively the angular momentum of the atmosphere is able to interact and alter the spin rate of the Earth. Very subtly, but still we can observe it now with our atomic clocks. And so how does the Earth changing spin rate affect plate tectonics and earthquakes? It's all connected together. The sun has a connection, obviously we've seen, to earthquake activity, obviously to weather, right? To the people that say the sun has no effect on our climate or weather, I don't understand that because, well, all the energy of the Earth, other than like radioactive decay, is from the sun. 1,362 watts per square meter. It's what we're doing here on Earth is modifying how much energy is reflecting or being absorbed. And well, if A, you have solar activity high, and B, you're absorbing more of that because of a variety of factors. There's also natural processes contributing to this, right? Well then, it all combines together. What's most important is the final take home. What is happening? This is what's happening more and more across the world. And these aren't even the dominant lightning chimneys, right? Europe and North America are not lightning chimneys for the world. That's again, Southeast Asia, like the Congo, Africa, that region, and in general, the Amazon, Central America, Caribbean, a little bit of Florida. So, the lightning activities in terms of it being crazy and more frequent is spreading out from those zones. So this is really a new era that we are entering into. So wanted to bring that all to your attention. We have these solar storms coming in. They are expected. I don't think they're going to be too crazy. I think we're looking at G1, G2 activity. But with all the other solar flares I've hit, I mean, I really don't know how they're going to stack together. But I also think it's very possible that we could suddenly get another X flare, if not even a really big X flare, 5.0 or greater in the next few days. Probably the next 48 hours or so. And then as Earth is supercharged, the storm comes in, all this activity, that's maybe when you get a big earthquake to pop off. It's possible. That's very possible. So we had some super thanks come in. I'm not going to do a big super thanks thing today, but I just want to show these off here before I sign off. Kim Educates, thank you so much for the very generous super sticker. Much love to you. And Cheryl Z, 3i Atlas, negative polarity, polar vortex disruption, global weather disruption, earthquakes, volcanoes. These could all be links. Yeah, one thing to point out as it relates to, people are like, well, we had some crazy blizzards in the United States last winter. And you're right. Well, the warming in the Arctic can disrupt the normal flow in the polar vortex. And I think I have a graphic here I can pull up on the vortex. That's pretty good. So let's see if I can find that. Maybe if I type in polar vortex, it'll pop up better. Yeah, this one works. So here we have our polar vortex graphic. And so if you have a stable polar vortex, the cold air is contained. And then, well, if you in fact have, if in fact you have there be heating in the Arctic, now the cold air moves south, and that's why you can get cold temperatures in mid-latitude regions as a result. But the overall net effect is that you're getting a warming of the Earth overall. And if the Earth keeps warming like crazy, eventually you may not have that strong of a polar vortex. So we're in that volatile period. That's, again, in my mind, the more important thing, less so than just the direction, though, of course, it's well confirmed. These measurements aren't being taken just in like airports and heat islands. They're also being taken in undisturbed natural places. In general, across the world, temperatures are going up. The only place where they're not, at least sea surface temperature, is there off the coast of Greenland, because all the ice, all the glaciers are rafting out and melting there. That's well documented. So volatility, though, is the key thing. That's really the key thing, volatility. And a big super thanks from Jen Williams. Thank you so much. My concern is that the astrocartography lines for the Mars-Uranus conjunction are running right through Los Angeles, but concentrated on LA. I live in LA, but in SF right now for my B-Day and flying back on Friday when the conjunction will be exact. Okay, well, yeah, we'll see. California is critical for the next few days, but we'll just have to wait and see. California has surprised us many times by not doing something, though it's been in critical, I would say, critical forecast states before. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I mean, it's ready to go. I think it's going to go soon. But today, tomorrow, 2 years from now, I don't know. I don't know. Thanks for the super thanks. Really appreciated. Shannon, thank you for that super thanks as well. Margarita Diaz, thank you for the super thanks. Big Hassan, do you think that there is a Big Haas? Do you think there's a relation with the Philippines earthquake on June 16th and the Venezuelan earthquake? I recall the antipode from June 16th being Venezuela. It's not exactly Venezuela, but it's close by. So yeah, I do think that is connected. We see this connection with antipodal quakes. We can quickly check that out here with our antipode calculator. We have this Super Tunnel app that I like. Let me pull it up. And what we can do is type in Caracas, Venezuela. And we see the antipode for Caracas exactly is a bit south of the southern Philippines, where that magnitude 7.8 is. But they're pretty close together. There was antipodal activity between them. I've talked about that before. So yeah, there's definitely something there. Thank you for the super thanks. And Shax's Left Nut, thank you for everything. Videos are the best. Thank you. Thank you so much. Reflections of a serial healer. Does burying the power lines have any impact on the electrification issue? As it relates to less EMF noise in the environment, burying the lines definitely helps. As it relates to potential power grid failures, burying the lines is a little bit better, but doesn't make too much of a difference. But as you know, this impact of Earth electrification, the answer to your question is actually it's very nuanced, and so it's way beyond the scope. So I can say kind of. Sorry, but it's like a whole thing, and everyone fall asleep listening to it. So Paul Nobody, thank you for the super thanks. And Carl Snaps, thank you for the huge super thanks as well. It's much appreciated. Really, really awesome. And yeah, thank you for everyone who's contributed with your viewership, with your likes and more. So if you like the video, please smash that thumbs up button, help the channel grow, get that out to more people. Recently we have been getting a boost in viewership because of all the things that have been happening and people finally being like, okay, there is something to what this guy is saying, right? He's not crazy. No, I'm not crazy. I do my best to, but I leave room for, what is that we don't know. That's the thing. Modern science is more scientism. It's like if we haven't proven it, and a lot of their proofs, by the way, is like Big Bang Theory or, dark energy or dark matter, where we don't even see the things, right? It's nonsense, but somehow it's proven. But if we don't have a mathematical proof for it, it doesn't exist. Okay, well, we know almost nothing compared to the reality of the universe. So I leave a little bit of room for that, but then we look at a lot of data and facts and more. So wanted to, that's kind of the MO. And there's actually one more thing to mention here. I just want to point out, because this is interesting, this moment's going to pass. But look at the pattern that these sunspots make, okay? This is what I'm talking about. This is a little bit of the speculation stuff. I'm saying that very clearly right now. This is speculation. But I look at planetary geometry for space weather because we see a connection with that. And we have this planetary geometry coming up at the beginning of January, beginning of 2027 in January, that has the exact same pattern as these sunspots. So again, you see almost like this cross formation. Look, check this out. Here is January 11th, 2027, and this is certainly a planetary geometry that looks perfect for a big event to go out, because you have Jupiter behind all the inner planets except Mercury, and in fact Mercury is in that opposite position. So that looks just like the inner planets there, look just like that cross formation. So this is a bit of a stretch. It's a bit of a stretch. But the universe speaks in interesting ways, and all this activity here could be basically heads up from the sun being like, yo, in 6 months, when the planets do that, that's when you gotta be ready. I don't know, just wanted to put that in front of you because I think that's very, very interesting. So again, thank you all so much. Wishing each and every single one of you well. Please take care of yourselves. I'll see you all in the next video.